How's it going? Welcome back, my beautiful sinners, to another great video here on the Savior Show. Now, today I have a very special video for you, something that I've wanted to make for a long time now, something that's been on my mind, and I just really want to get into this. I've tried my best to formulate my opinions and views in an orderly fashion, like a British gentleman, I might say. Ooh, and I've got a nice cup of tea next to me, so it's gonna be a longer video, okay? And I don't usually make notes for all of my videos, but I have for this one. And today I want to give you my Elden Ring critique, okay? My critique of Elden Ring. For all YouTubers and content creators who use jump into it, let's jump into the video, and you're not being ironic, then you need to go outside and jump off your balcony, because yeah, it's just that needs to stop, okay? So before I discuss my Elden Ring critique, I have to make it clear that I don't think Elden Ring is a bad game, and I'm not just saying that because I don't want to get a bunch of triggered fanboys in my comments. I deal with that all the time, it doesn't faze me. No, because I do enjoy Elden Ring. I do think it's a good game. It's a great game. You know, it's made by From Software, the same people who made Dark Souls, which is my all-time favorite video game franchise. I've had enough time to truly think about my own opinions about this game, not just what other people are saying, a bunch of other YouTubers. You know, I wanted to truly think about this as deep as possible and bring you a new perspective on why I think Elden Ring is overrated and why Elden Ring is bad in some aspects. Like I said, it's a good game, I like it, but to me, Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring. Dark Souls is far superior than Elden Ring in so many ways, and yeah, I just think Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring. And that's what this video is going to be about. It's not just an Elden Ring critique. I want to give it a different flavor because I'm sure on YouTube there are a lot of people making video essays on Elden Ring. This is going to be somewhat of a comparison between Elden Ring and Dark Souls and why I think Dark Souls is better. So with saying all of that, I hope that you enjoy this video, my sinners. I hope you keep an open mind and you don't fall into tribalism and group thinking, mob mentality, because that is the most destructive thing in the world. Discussion is what progresses humanity and society, in my opinion, and in recent times we don't seem to have that much dialogue, and I think tribal thinking is promoted, especially on social media, and we have to stop that. So please just keep an open mind. This is my perspective, this is my subjective viewpoints of Elden Ring and Dark Souls. You can disagree with them, that's fine. And if you want some more philosophical videos, I did just make a recent philosophical video, the whole history of philosophy, because I think that's very important. And I make other video game essays, reviews, and my music on Spotify. So please, if you want to support me, go check out my music and join as a member today, get extra content and shoutouts, and yeah, a lot more content, and it would mean a lot if you did support my channel. So let's get on with the Elden Ring critique and why I think Elden Ring is disappointing in many regards. So let me just say this first. Elden Ring is a great game, like I said, and the things that I love about Elden Ring the most is its legacy dungeons and the combat. I'm not going to pretend that the combat isn't great. The combat is so good in Elden Ring. It just gives you so much more choice and diversity. It's crazy how many different builds you have with the Ashes of War and all of these unique weapons, new animations, all of that great stuff. Of course, you have so much more choice with Elden Ring, and the legacy dungeons are absolutely incredible, so breathtaking. And of course it's so successful. This is basically what pushed From Software from kind of like a weird kid in the corner to being the cool popular kid in the school, if you get what I'm saying. You know, it sold 12 million copies in less than a month, and Dark Souls has always been you know, a very niche thing, and even nicher still for the true Dark Souls fans who dive into all of its lore and detail. And I love that, okay? I'm not going to pretend I don't love Dark Souls and its community. I'm going to talk about more why I love Dark Souls so much. I have made a few videos on it already. I also want to do a Dark Souls philosophical video. But I have to make it clear, I'm not gatekeeping. I don't think Elden Ring sucks because it's more popular than Dark Souls, and it takes away the special connection that I have to Dark Souls. Maybe some people are truly gatekeepers of, you know, what they love, like Dark Souls, for example. And, you know, you can't blame them in some regard, because you can't deny that as things get more popular, for example, Rick and Morty, okay, for example, so many things, you know, usually what happens is because they have to appeal to a wider demographic, that the core original media does get diluted. And you can disagree with that, but I just think that's part of the evolution of media, and that's always going to happen. It's always going to get slightly diluted the more bigger it gets. You know, it's the same thing with a YouTube channel. If I suddenly become super successful and a massive YouTuber, maybe the videos that I make will have to be more catered towards my new audience. I can't just make whatever the hell I want anymore. I do understand why some people care about gatekeeping and protecting the original media, the original content, entertainment, whatever you want to call it. But I do think it is a stupid mentality to have, because just like Star Wars, which is now destroyed, we still do have the original Star Wars movies that will never get destroyed because, you know, they're the original. So I think it is pretty stupid, but I just wanted to make my views clear on that argument. So now, let's get into why I think Elden Ring is worse than Dark Souls, why I think Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring, and my critique of Elden Ring. And the number one thing is, of course, going to be the open world. Now, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this, but to me, this just completely rubbed me the wrong way. And, you know, I was going in with an open mind. I was excited for an open world Dark Souls. I mean, holy shit, that sounds amazing on paper. And the thing is, people like to give From Software so much credit, sometimes credit that they don't deserve. And a lot of people think that Elden Ring reinvented the open world formula. I'm sorry, it didn't, okay? It didn't whatsoever. Elden Ring managed to remove some of the toxic waste from those open world games, but it didn't reinvent the open world genre of gaming. But the truth is, it's not that different from any other open world game, okay? The layout is nice, the geography is nice, how it's, you know, interlinked is also nice, how you can bypass some of the game from these secret routes. It doesn't have endless side quests and objectives that you have to complete. It doesn't have a list of things that you have to collect, stuff like that. Although Ubisoft now is a complete joke of a corporate scumbag company and everyone bashes on them for good reason, but a lot of people don't remember that older games like Far Cry 2, you wouldn't have a giant map filled with objectives either. You would actually have to navigate the world somewhat on your own terms. And, you know, there are so many games like that just in the past. It's just people have forgotten, and we've got so used to this open world design that everyone thinks this is a new and wonderful, transformative idea when it's not. Games used to be like this. They used to respect the player a lot more, to use their brains and to use their own knowledge. It's only in the last 15 years or so that gaming has become kind of dumbed down for the masses. And yeah, Elden Ring doesn't deserve the praise it gets for the open world design, in my opinion. Other open world games do the same thing, like Zelda Breath of the Wild and older Bethesda games, so I just don't see why everyone thinks this is revolutionary for its open world design. Yes, the layout is nice, yes, the connectivity is good and much better than most open world games, and yes, the detail is amazing, but a lot of it is just emptiness, and it just feels pointless. But that's not my biggest problem with the open world design for Elden Ring. It's actually the lack of tension, okay? Dark Souls is completely different. There is tension around every corner. Every step that you take is towards the unknown, the dangerous. and you have to be prepared for it. That's why Dark Souls Prepare to Die. You know, it's a completely different experience from Elden Ring. Elden Ring to me feels like a casual experience in many ways. The tension is gone. Respawn points are absolutely everywhere, okay? With the stakes of Maracaf or whatever, however you pronounce it, okay? You know, the tension is gone and people just seem to forget about it because, yeah, there's so much else to love in this game, but that's a huge thing that makes Dark Souls special to begin with, is the tension, is the fear of dying. Elden Ring is like an overprotecting mother, just telling you all the time that it's okay, you don't have to be afraid, don't worry, Mama Elden Ring is going to, you know, clean up your wounds and kiss your boo-boos better, and you don't have to feel afraid anymore. It just takes away all responsibility from the player in many ways. Of course, it's still challenging and much more difficult than most open world trash games, but this is a From Software game, and the DNA is being diluted, in my opinion, with Elden Ring, and the lack of tension is a massive, massive deal for me. So why do I think Dark Souls is so much better? I'm gonna just jump back and forth between Elden Ring points and Dark Souls. They don't necessarily correlate or they are linked, but you know, this is just kind of my own comparison. And I just spoke about the open world design in Elden Ring. So why do I think Dark Souls does everything much better? Okay, well, that's because everything exists for a purpose in Dark Souls. Dark Souls feels like a grounded and existing universe that you get to experience. Everything is connected in Dark Souls. Every item placed is deliberately put there for a reason, okay? Every character that you interact with is there for a reason. All of the items make sense within the world and the context, okay? For bosses, the same thing. Everything in Dark Souls exists for a reason. It doesn't have to feel like a video game. It doesn't have to follow the video game tropes. And that's why Dark Souls is so much different from every other game in the world. That's why it's my favorite game of all time. And I've only recently discovered Dark Souls in the last 2 years or so. Elden Ring, because it's using this open world design, because of this, it feels more like, okay, we have to think about this as a video game, not as a fantasy world that we can create and we can drop the player into. The next thing that I don't like about Elden Ring and why I think Elden Ring is disappointing is the bosses, okay? The bosses are a big deal for me because Elden Ring trivializes the bosses. I don't think anything can be more damaging than this because bosses is one of the core components as to what makes a From Software game so special. And Elden Ring has 165 bosses, okay? And only around 9 or 10 of them are actually unique. What the hell? What the actual hell, okay? How can you stand there and call Elden Ring the far superior game, the best game From Software has ever made? Of course, many people say this because they've never even played Dark Souls. They've just come in on Elden Ring. But it's completely false. 165 bosses. You might think, well, of course it's better because there's more bosses. But quantity over quality always fails. It always fails. One reason that I love Dark Souls is because I never know what to expect. I never felt fatigued playing it because there's always something new around each corner. And the boss battles are so impactful. I'll always remember the bosses in Dark Souls 1 and 2 because of the impact and all of the enemies being unique, you know. I mean, of course, we have a few repeated ones, but, I mean, we're talking about 3 or 4 in Dark Souls 1 and 2 combined. Elden Ring repeats so many of its bosses, so many of its enemies, 165 bosses, and like I said, only 9 of them are unique. That's absolutely a crime. If we do get another Dark Souls game, for the new generation, that would be amazing, but it's going to follow the design of Elden Ring now because everyone loves Elden Ring. And that just hurts my very soul because I just think having this many bosses dilutes the core experience of Dark Souls. It makes everything feel less special, less treasured, and it's just so sad to me. Just so you know the difference, Dark Souls has around 26 bosses compared to 165. But I remember each one of those bosses. They all felt unique. They didn't feel like video game bosses. They felt like powerful and interesting characters within the Dark Souls universe, powerful divine creatures that had a place within the world, that existed in Dark Souls for a reason, because they did. They all had their own unique reason. Why the hell does so many of Elden Ring's bosses repeat itself? Does it make any sense within the game world? No, it doesn't, because at the end of each dungeon in Elden Ring, by the way, we have a boss battle. Some of the bosses don't make any sense whatsoever. They don't make any logical sense. Why are they there? How did they get there? Why are they exactly the same copy and pasted boss that we've already fought? Oh god, I'm trying not to get upset about it. It makes me sound like I hate Elden Ring. I don't think it's a bad game like I said, but it's so beneath Dark Souls. It's absolutely just completely in different spaces. From Software were different, okay? They were the only developers left with integrity, with creative integrity, but now because of the sales numbers, I'm sure Dark Souls will never be the same, and it's just so sad. Dark Souls, every enemy that you face, every boss that you have to defeat and overcome feels like a calculated chess piece. You have to be aware of your weapons, your world surroundings, everything, where everything feels impactful, everything feels calculated, and you have to think about all of your moves, all of your actions. Elden Ring, the bosses don't feel like a chess piece. They don't feel like they are moving with some kind of purpose. They don't feel like they have their own unique moveset in many ways. The bosses in Elden Ring seem to have endless spammy moves. In Dark Souls, you're facing off against these crazy opponents, but they never feel unfair. They always feel calculated, and they all have their own unique moveset. And it does feel like I said, a battle of chess, like you're playing a game of chess, in which you have to think about all of your actions as the character. You have to think about what weapon you're using. You have to think about what status effects you have. You have to think about your armor. You have to think about where your character is standing. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and the same thing for the boss enemy. But in Elden Ring, the bosses feel frantic. They use spammy moves which all feel the same. They, do this quick rush attack at you and then spam about 10 or so attacks in quick succession. It feels like a lot of the enemies are kind of clawing at you like some kind of deranged cat. And yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like how combat feels with the bosses in Elden Ring. I'm not saying it's more difficult, it's not. It just doesn't feel like you've earned the victory. It doesn't feel like you mastered their moveset, because a lot of the time it's just so frantic and sporadic that you can't actually learn the moveset. It doesn't feel like it did in Dark Souls. It feels like you can cheese your way through bosses by using, stupid tactics, or by using summons, or by just buffing your character. There are so many ways to break Elden Ring, and that's what I'm going to get into as well. But the bosses here, the combat just doesn't feel as refined as Dark Souls. It feels messy, and I just absolutely hate it, to be honest. It just doesn't make me feel like I've actually, earned my victory. Dark Souls was always much better, in my opinion, because everything had impact, everything had weight. The slow combat in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 is what made those games so good. So yeah, Dark Souls to me is far superior when it comes to its combat, as well as so many other things. But yeah, it's not about being OP in Dark Souls, it's about being smart. It takes time, it's methodical, everything feels hard but fair. Elden Ring, in comparison, feels broken in many regards to its bosses and even some of its enemies. Like I said, some bosses are exactly the same but have more difficulty, have more HP. They all use frantic and just chaotic attacks without much reason or logic. It doesn't feel like a game of chess anymore. It's not about learning the enemy pattern as much as it used to be. It's more about how you can buff yourself up enough to overcome these new crazy and more wild and frantic enemies, which I guess is a challenge in itself, but it's very different from what Dark Souls is known for. And please don't say, oh, you suck at Elden Ring, that's why you don't like it. No, I don't suck at Elden Ring. I'm not going to pretend it's easy, it's not easy. However, I don't think this is the most difficult Dark Souls game. In fact, I'm going to get onto the difficulty in a second. But first, let's talk about your little goat friend here, the mount, and why the mount completely destroys Elden Ring in my opinion. If Elden Ring was mostly legacy dungeons and it had some small open world segments, that would have been so much better in my opinion. That would be Elden Ring perfected. Then I would be here saying Elden Ring is the best thing ever. But because it's all open world and you only get a few legacy dungeons, most of the time you are traveling on your stupid little goat friend. And I hate goats so much. They are the mark of the beast, the mark of the devil, and I shall repent. All evil goats from this world, I will cleanse them, and I will be pure. So, why don't I like the stupid little goat? Well, like I said, the world would feel so much bigger if you had to travel by foot all the time. If they just shrunk it down a little bit, it would make the scale far more dramatic and impactful and incredible because you will have to overcome everything yourself. The problem with the stupid goat is it makes no fucking sense, okay? First of all, the jump mechanic is broken. It's actually broken. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, Dark Souls exists in a physical universe. I would go so far as to say it's just as grounded as our own universe, and I'm gonna go on a deep philosophical dive of Dark Souls at some point, but this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have any logic to its world space, and that's what's so special about From Software games, is it did have logic. Elden Ring, the stupid little goat, doesn't have any sense. So you can double jump, right? But for some reason, you can jump off a rock, for example, or a small cliff, and if you time your jump correctly, you do a mid-air double jump, so you land on a little magical barrier which breaks your fall. But for some reason, when you jump off a high cliff or a high point in Elden Ring, and you do the exact same thing, you jump just before you hit the ground, which you would think would get rid of all of the full damage. It doesn't work like that. No, because Elden Ring doesn't make any sense. You take all of the damage from your stupid fucking mount, and it's stupid. It looks stupid, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like they just couldn't be bothered to do this because they know this will break the game, and they've got to do some kind of bullshit workaround for the open world structure. And I hate it. That's completely just stupid, okay? It's just stupid. You can't deny that's not stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid. The next thing is the control of your stupid little goat friend is terrible. When you're trying to navigate the world and you're trying to jump down those, cliff ledges of those like grave tombs things that stick out the side of the cliff, it's very difficult on your stupid little goat because the control of your goat is fucking terrible, okay? It's shit. You can't control your goat that well, and you can do a mid-air, turn by jumping, but when you're just trying to, move your goat character, it just feels off. It just doesn't work because it just feels janky. I can't describe it. When you turn, it does like a 180. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like, say, controlling Shadow of the Colossus for horse or Red Dead Redemption for horse in that. It doesn't feel like a real animal, and it controls like a goddamn broken moped. And the final thing is the broken design of the mount, okay? So it doesn't make any sense because for some reason you can mount up and ride it, in places that you shouldn't, but in some places, like if you're underground, for example, or in a tunnel, you can't mount up, which doesn't make any sense because some places you would think you can't, and that would make sense, but you can, and in some places you can't mount up when you should. It just defies all logic and it's broken. But the worst thing about the stupid goat is the fact that you can just bypass the whole game. This stupid little fucking goat, which I hate so much, I don't feel any attachment to it. I wish I could kill it, but I can't. Excuse me. But it ruins the whole game. Because of the open world structure, you don't actually have to fight any enemy. You don't have to, be concerned or have any tension or fear about collecting a powerful item, a powerful new weapon, or an item that you need to progress the game, to level up your character. It's just stupid. This stupid goat ruins the game design. It's fundamentally fucking broken because you can bypass most of the game, all of the enemies, all of the poison, all of the environmental dangers because of your stupid goat. You don't have to fight any of the enemies. You don't actually have to navigate this world with any kind of fear or tension because this goat takes away all of that fear from the world. You don't have to be afraid of the bosses in the open world segment. You don't have to be afraid of the giant dragons chasing you because you can just fly away on your magical goat. And if people think that's great game design, then I think people have completely been blindsided to the magic of From Software games because this goat destroys what made previous Dark Souls games so special because it takes away all element of risk and danger and reward and any kind of responsibility as the player. So now we're on to the final few points that I have for this Elden Ring critique and why I think Elden Ring is bad and why Elden Ring is disappointing in many aspects. Like I said, please don't hate me for this video. It's just a game, even though I feel that these are very important video games because no other media, no other type of media can give you this type of storytelling and impact. And that's why Dark Souls is special. Elden Ring, not so much. It's still a good video game, but I don't think it's a work of art like I would say Dark Souls is. Dark Souls is like a painting in motion. And I know that sounds pretentious, but the more you look into it, the more you realize just how everything has meaning and depth. So the other thing that I don't like about Elden Ring, and why I think Elden Ring sucks compared to Dark Souls, and why Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring, okay? And I think I've made some pretty good points. You can disagree with me. Like I said, these are just my viewpoints and my opinions, okay? But the difficulty in Elden Ring is also broken, okay? Oh boy, okay, I'm not gonna jump into this because this video is already getting too long, but jump into it. But yeah, so Elden Ring, like I said, the difficulty doesn't feel fair like it does in Dark Souls. I've already talked about how the enemies and the boss battles are different, but Elden Ring relies on cheese tactics, not like other Dark Souls games where you have to fight the enemy in this location by using the tools that you have, okay? Elden Ring, you can just jump on your little magical goat, you can jump up a tree, and you can just cheese your way by using magic or an archery build or whatever, okay? You can buff yourself up to just feel invincible and OP. You can summon a bunch of, AI characters to actually fight the boss for you. It's the most easiest game From Software has ever made, and not for the right reasons. The difficulty is broken. It relies on meta builds, cheesy tactics, just, breaking the game as best as you can, in my opinion. And the worst thing is the fact that over-leveling and under-leveling is the biggest issue Elden Ring has. Because it's open-ended, because you can just come back and fight this boss another time, when you do leave an area because the boss is too difficult and too much of a high level. Because there is no leveling system, the enemies don't scale with you, which I think would be bad, but some kind of soft leveling scale might work better for this type of open world design. You can come back and you can just one-hit these bosses, trivializing the whole point of these games. And it's just a joke. And the same thing for finding an enemy. You know, you can learn its patterns, you can learn its attack structure, what weapon it's using, when you should dodge, what shield to use, the best way to, you know, fight this boss. All of the other games in Dark Souls and Bloodborne, for example, teach you how to fight the bosses by, you know, using your strategy and overcoming the odds by using the tools that you have and your ability as the player. That's why the get good mentality is somewhat relevant, and it is needed, because shit players won't be able to complete these games. That's just the truth, okay? But Elden Ring doesn't have any of that, because the leveling system is broken. It's fundamentally broken, okay? And you can just over-level, come back, one-hit a massive boss. You could do the same thing in Dark Souls to some extent, but only if you were some kind of crazy person and you spent the whole time farming enemies. And of course that isn't the nature of the game, that isn't what you should be doing. That's just, you know, if you're crazy and that's what you want to do, but that's not how the game teaches you to play. That's not how the game should be played, and nowhere does it say that you should be farming, because that's just stupid. But Elden Ring, you naturally get overpowered because you have to go off and, you know, you fight other enemies, and then you come back and it's just completely a joke, and it trivializes the whole experience of overcoming obstacles, motivation, all of the stuff, all of the themes that Dark Souls teaches you. It just gets rid of all of that because it wants to be an open world game, and that's just terrible in my opinion. And the same thing for enemies that are too strong. You can be the best player ever, but still they can just be too overpowered, and, you know, your equipment will just be too shit, your level will be too bad. In Dark Souls, it was never about that. You could be naked, you could have just like a club in your hand, and you could still beat the game if you were a good enough player. This takes away all of the skill, in my opinion. It's broken, and I think it sucks. There are no tactics anymore, it's just about if you can be OP or not. So with this long critique of Elden Ring and this Elden Ring essay, you must think, Savior, it sounds like you hate the game. And in some ways I do, because when you compare it to Dark Souls, I do hate it, because it kind of destroys the DNA of Dark Souls and these amazing games. But like I said, as a game, as a standalone game, it's great. But it's just so sad when you stack up all of these things against it, and I think they are pretty fair and logical. I just don't see how you can say Elden Ring is better than Dark Souls, unless if you've never played Dark Souls, which then, of course, you don't know what you're talking about. So the final thing is the story sucks, and the lore of Elden Ring is terrible, okay? George R.R. Martin was simply a marketing strategy, dirty marketing tactic, and yeah, the story doesn't make any sense, okay? Of course, you can look into the lore, and I'm sure some people will say, no, in fact, Savior, the lore in Elden Ring is so good world building and strong themes and storytelling should be able to explain itself without having to, you know, look too deep into it. And Elden Ring is just unnecessarily confusing. Dark Souls, the point of Dark Souls is that you take away your own perspective, and although we do have some grounded lore, the themes of Dark Souls speak for itself, you know. It has such a strong theme, such a strong philosophy behind it, that even players who don't understand basic philosophy will feel the same emotions, because the world and the world space and the characters, everything about it, the themes of Dark Souls are so strong that you can't help but understand what Dark Souls is trying to tell you. Elden Ring is the complete opposite. It's just convoluted bullshit, and George R.R. Martin, like I said, is just a dirty marketing strategy. And yeah, I just don't think Elden Ring has a good story compared to the explanation of the undead and why you come back, why it's not just respawning like we see in other video games. It actually explains all of these mechanics. Like I said, everything exists on purpose with Dark Souls. Elden Ring just feels like kind of like, oh, we need some kind of way to explain it because we did this in our previous games, but it just doesn't make any sense compared to Dark Souls. And I could get into the story, the lore, but like I said, I want to do a separate video on the philosophy of Dark Souls, but it's just lackluster. Elden Ring, the story is lackluster in my opinion. It doesn't have strong themes, and the philosophy, the story behind it is somewhat nonsensical. A lot of things don't even make any sense within its own explanation of the lore, and it's just there because it's a video game and it needs some way to explain its mechanics, unlike Dark Souls, which already had an explanation before it was a video game, if that makes any sense. So now we are at the end of my Elden Ring essay, my Elden Ring critique, whatever you want to call it. This is just something I wanted to make myself, something I wanted to get off my chest because I truly care about Dark Souls, and it's very important to me. Dark Souls has gotten me through some pretty tough times and has taught me a lot about myself, and that's so rare from any type of media, and especially from a game. So I just had to make this because it's important to me, and I just feel like not enough people give it credit, and everyone is praising Elden Ring when so many people could benefit more from Dark Souls, in my opinion, and they should try it. If you enjoy Elden Ring, then you will definitely enjoy Dark Souls, and you'll be surprised just at how much better it is. I feel that Dark Souls teaches you something. I don't feel like I learned anything from Elden Ring. I just enjoyed it as a piece of media and entertainment, and it's fun, and maybe that's just me. Maybe I've just kind of grown up and I'm not easily immersed into open world games like I used to be, but I feel like I'm wasting time, and I don't feel like I've achieved anything when I'm playing a game like Elden Ring. And that's not the same thing with Dark Souls, where it teaches you so much about everything. And you should try Dark Souls out if you haven't, because it might just actually change who you are as a person, which sounds crazy, but storytelling can have very impactful messages, and it can truly impact you as a person. And Elden Ring just feels like it doesn't have that, at least for me. Maybe for some people, if this was their first From Software game, maybe they felt truly like this was transformative, but I just don't see it. I don't see how that's possible with all of these mechanics and all of these gameplay designs that just feel very trivialized and formulaic. So please, if you've only played Elden Ring, try Dark Souls, because you will be surprised and just unlearn the things that you learned from Elden Ring. The final thing I wanted to discuss in this long video was vibes, and this is a very weird one and pretty difficult to quantify, but yeah, like I said, Dark Souls gives me such strong vibes and has such meaning to me because of its philosophy and its world space, and the message of Dark Souls, the philosophy of Dark Souls about finding meaning within darkness, within, life itself. Why life itself is always pushing towards an end state. The universe itself is going to fundamentally, crunch at the end, and maybe we're going to witness another Big Bang. Who knows? Maybe it's an infinite cycle. But, we are heading towards an age of dark, all of us. And in a world without meaning, you have to find the meaning. You have to find the motivation to keep pushing and not go hollow. It's a pretty simple message. There are so many different ways of looking at Dark Souls, so many, different types of philosophy that you can look into around Dark Souls, and I will make a video separately about that. And the core message of humanity and, gods and existence is kind of found within Dark Souls in some ways, which is quite incredible. The pursuit of knowledge, setting up your own goals, but not losing yourself in the pursuit of pure knowledge, without having some goals of your own, morality. You know, it just has so much to it, and it's quite clear that even people who don't maybe look into things as deep as I do, I'm a bit of a weirdo, but they'll still feel something from Dark Souls. And the music, the atmosphere, the lack of music, the silence, the sound design, the world space, the meaning of your character, the undead, and all of this stuff just, you know, has such strong vibes. And vibes is kind of a cringe way of describing it, but, you know, just how you feel. It doesn't tell you anything. Elden Ring is a lot more accessible. Like I said, all of these things that I've talked about in Elden Ring, to me, takes away what makes Dark Souls so special, and that's why I think Dark Souls is just better. Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring because of those reasons. It trivializes a lot of the stuff because of the bosses, the open world, the difficulty, the mount, the storytelling, and yeah, the vibes of Elden Ring just don't get me as much. The theme of Elden Ring, I don't really see what the theme is. It's just kind of the generic thing that, you know, gods have gone mad, kind of like ancient Greek mythology. You know, we kind of already know this story in some ways. It doesn't seem to have that much strong philosophy behind it. The music is kind of lackluster, and the feeling of accomplishment is completely diminished. And that's a great thing that just takes away my enjoyment from Elden Ring. A lot of the dungeons are reused, and it just feels like you're playing a video game. It's recycled. It's very surprising. I didn't expect it to be as bad as that. That all of the dungeons, you know, the side dungeons, look the same and feel the same, and it's always the same layout. There's just a boss at the end guarding some kind of magical game treasure. It's got a lot of repeated assets. The map makes you feel not so lonely and disconnected from this world. And with Dark Souls, that's the point, is to feel disconnected and alone. There is always tension around every corner. Like I said, Elden Ring trivializes that because of the mount, because of the way you can just fast travel at any point pretty much. So yeah, that's just why I think Dark Souls is better than Elden Ring. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my video about Elden Ring and my Elden Ring critique. I hope my points were strong enough and valid. At least to me they were. You can disagree with them if you want. And if you take anything away from this video, is just to not go hollow, as lame as that sounds, and to find meaning in your own life, to keep pushing, and go play Dark Souls, okay? Just go do it. If you haven't played it already, it might not be for you, but if it is, and it clicks... Actually, I should say that I played Dark Souls a lot when I was a teenager, but I always gave up. I gave up, you know, just after playing for a few hours because it never clicked with me. But at some point you will try it and it will click with you, I'm sure. And when it does, you are in for something, you know, very special, in my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed my video on Elden Ring and my critique of Elden Ring. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. I would like to know exactly what your thoughts are, if they are different from me, or if you agree with some of my points. I'm sorry this is a very long video, it's not like my normal content, but I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to try a new format. I wanted to talk about a subject that just interests me, not necessarily for views or attention, like some of my other videos. I just wanted to do this for me. So yeah, I'm experimenting a lot with my content now. I'm doing a lot of videos that are trying to get views, I'm not gonna lie, and it does seem to be working. But I'm going to be mixing that up with videos that I actually just care about. You know, my channel has always been about creativity and just making whatever I feel like, and that's never gonna stop. So if you are new, I do hope you do subscribe, and we have all kinds of content on this channel. I hope you will join this amazing community and join the Savior channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, and peace out.